Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
कोई जरूरत तो उसको इंटरव्यू देने की।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
किसने हक दिया आपको हाथ उठाने का?
अगर फिर से कोई ऐसी गलती करेगा तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं।
सर आप लाइव हैं एनडीटीवी पर।
मैं सही बात कर रहा हूँ तो
आपकी जो आवाज है,
आप मेरी आवाज ब्रेक मत कीजिए, मेरा पूरा
सबने
सुन लीजिए।
देखा है, सबने सुना है।
मैं तुम्हारी बात नहीं करूंगा। ये क्या पद्धति है? ये बात करते हैं तो मैं नहीं करूंगा बात इनसे।
गायकवाड़ साहब ऐसे मत कीजिए।
लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है, लोग देख रहे तो कर रहा है।
He wants to throw punches, he wants to throw slaps, but he can't take normal questions.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. Time for me to say namaskaram, namaskara, baunnara, nalla irkingla. Vasudha will join us in just a bit from central Delhi. We have lots lined up on the show this evening, including the special face-off in Tamil Nadu over EPS flexing his political muscle. You have Karnataka versus Andra over aerospace, and also the big dog dilemma in India. But first, let's take you through the headlines we're tracking this hour. After 25 students fell ill due to a midday meal in Karnataka, Union Minister Shobha Karandlaje quotes NDTV report slams Congress government, claiming that Siddaramaiah government is now looting children. While giving a speech in the Legislative Council, Devendra Fadnavis gave an open offer to Uddhav Thackeray to join him. Fadnavis said that come in your place in the opposition, that's still fine, but if you want to come with us, then it can be considered. NDTV coverage followed shockwaves at Maharashtra Assembly. Opposition protests for action against Shinde Sena MLA Sanjay Gaikwad in the canteen staffer assault incident. First up this evening, the top political story, called this the EPS political muscle flex in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu's leader of opposition has categorically declared that it will be an AIADMK government that will take charge if the alliance comes to power. Rubbish suggestion of a coalition rule in the state. He further categorically declared that he is the man in charge of the alliance, while the AIADMK has been distancing itself from the BJP's suggestion of a coalition in the state if the alliance comes to power. This is the most categorical statement from Edappadi Palaniswamy on the issue. Remember, EPS is on a statewide yatra. Tamil Nadu has not had a coalition government since the Dravidian parties established dominance in 1960. And there were worries that talk of a coalition could be detrimental to the AIADMK's image as the lead party in the alliance. Even in 2006, when the DMK did not get a majority on its own, it ran a minor government and did not remember accept a coalition with the rest. Let's listen in to EPS before we go ahead.
கூட்டணி ஆட்சி இல்ல எங்களுடைய கூட்டணி ஆட்சி அமைக்கணும் சொல்றேன் கூட்டணி ஆட்சி அமைக்கணும் சொல்றேன் வெளிப்பட்ட நான் தான் தெளிவாக சொல்றேன் நல்லா புரிஞ்சுங்க இந்த கட்சிக்கு யார் கூட்டணி தலைமை தாங்குது சொல்லுங்க நீங்களே சொல்லுங்க அப்புறம் நான் எடுக்கிற முடிவு தானே அப்புறம் யார் முதலமைச்சர் ஆகிறாங்க யார் ஆட்சி அமைக்குது சொல்லுங்க நீங்க சொல்லுங்க முடிய நாங்கள் கேட்குறோம் நீங்க எங்களை கேள்வி கேட்டீங்களா நாங்கள் தெளிவுபடுத்திட்டோம் நாங்கள் இருவரும் அமர்ந்து தெளிவுபடுத்தியாச்சு அதில் இந்த கூட்டணிக்கு அதிமுக தலைமை தாங்க அதிமுக ஆட்சி அமைக்கும் அதில் EPS இன்னும் உங்களுக்கு தெளிவு.
Well, AIADMK and BJP spokespersons refused to join the show this evening, but we do have NDTV Sam Daniel and political analyst Suman Sriraman join me this evening. Sam, very briefly, This is the most categorical statement by EPS on this issue. He has indicated to the same in the past, but not in as many categorical words.
That's right. For the first time, EPS has taken this kind of a long explanation to make it clear that there will be no coalition government if the AIADMK alliance wins elections in Tamil Nadu. And he is the boss who would take that call, and that he is very confident that the party will be able to obtain a majority of its own and form an AIADMK government, but not a coalition NDA government, triggering in a sense speculation whether the AIADMK is also exploring the possibility of shaking hands with Vijay if things turn worse with the BJP Veeraraghavan.
That you say that, but I think much of this is conjuncture at this stage. Sumant Raman, the BJP has been subtly hinting at a coalition, basically not wanting to forego its identity as a political player in Tamil Nadu, though it's a marginal player. EPS's assurance, do you think, will just be something that's ignored by the BJP, or do you believe that Edappadi Palaniswamy needs some categorical statements of his leadership endorsement from all the allies and from within his own party?
Look, I think ever since this alliance was formed, the BJP has done zilch to pull its weight for the alliance. In fact, they've gone out of the way to create some embarrassment for the alliance. Where was the need for Mr. Amit Shah to say all this now? Anyhow, the decision is going to be taken after the election. You said it even at the time of forming the alliance that a decision will be taken later, depending on any. Practically, you know that if the AIADMK does not get a majority on its own, they will definitely have to depend on their allies, and the allies are going to insist that they will be part of this government. So what is the necessity to go on about this now is the point I'm trying to understand. What does the BJP get out of it? Everyone knows that Mr. Stalin, the chief minister, has clearly decided that this campaign is going to be fought on an anti-BJP plank. He is going around saying, if you don't vote for us, the BJP will come in no uncertain terms. That is the message. And here you are actually supporting. So I'm seriously worried whether from the AIADMK perspective, whether the BJP is playing a double game, whether they are trying to sink this party by being in the alliance. I think it's extremely, indecipherable on what basis Mr. Amit Shah is making such statements, which contribute zero to the alliance now, which gives the DMK a plank to beat them with. And everybody knows off the record, the AIADMK is also reconciled to forming a coalition government should push comes to shove, right? They can't say it openly now because already they are being called weak. Already they are being called as, an extension of the BJP. Mr. EPS every day is being accused of having surrendered to BJP. How can they go and say, no, you'll have a BJP coalition government in 2026? He can't say that. Until the results come, this is the position of the AIADMK. That will not change in public. But in private, they are mentally reconciled to a coalition government.
Right, you're absolutely right. There can't be a question of, especially the ones who follow Tamil politics very clearly. Vasudha also finally joins me. She had to beat through Delhi traffic to get on the show. Vasudha, you've covered EPS. You've been tracking the BJP very closely. There is a sense, as Sumant Raman points out, that the BJP is not making Edappadi Palaniswamy's life easier by categorically sending out a statement that it's the AIADMK that's in power. We are the junior partner in the state, and EPS is the chief ministerial face of the alliance. Why is the BJP not doing that as yet?
Absolutely, Veera, and vanakkam to all our viewers, and also good evening and namaskars. One important thing that I remember from my conversation with Edappadi Palaniswamy last week, Veera, was the fact that he kept talking about this alliance as an Annathimuka Kutani. He did not say that this is a Bajaka Kutani, this is an Annathimuka Kutani, this is an AIADMK alliance. And while we do talk about muscle flexing and shadow boxing in the context of Karnataka every other day, this is a common thing that appears to be happening in all alliances across the country, specifically with AIADMK and BJP. The BJP is a fledgling party when it comes to Tamil Nadu. It is growing. It has been unable to create that kind of electoral footprint that it would have expected. And when it comes to AIADMK, the AIADMK has seen 3 electoral setbacks, and this is in some ways a very important make or break election for Edappadi Palanisamy. He comes from the Gounder caste, and Tamil Nadu is known to have leaders who are casteless. So several challenges in front of Edappadi Palanisamy. There's also TVK's Vijay, and this muscle flexing is also happening because I think EPS wants to send out this message that he is open to all kinds of alliances, especially with TVK. And you know, Veera, when we talk to our sources in Tamil Nadu, they say, and in fact Edappadi Palanisamy said this on record to me, that 8 months left for this election, anything can happen. There are people who are starting parties, there are people who want to serve the state, and if they want to join me under my leadership, they're all welcome. So clearly, a politically loaded message there, not for the first time, but clearly sending out, a message of, superiority to the BJP, and also a message of political domination to the alliance.
Which is absolutely essential in Tamil Nadu's political narrative. Very, very briefly, Sumant C. Raman, before I wrap this conversation, do you see friction building up between the AIADMK and BJP, or is this going to be a marriage of inconvenience which has to survive till the end of these elections? Very, very briefly.
I think that depends entirely on the BJP High Command. Till date, there is a very strong suspicion, and I have it from very senior AIADMK sources, that the BJP is playing some kind of double game. In fact, the ED case, which is coming up in the Supreme Court, the AIADMK is not even sure whether the ED is going to prosecute it with any kind of vigor, because it involves higher ups connected with the DMK and the Chief Minister. So that is the level of distrust, and that is the level to which the BJP is actually embarrassing the AIADMK. Mr. Nainar Nagendran, the state president, right, and Mr. Edappadi have a good equation. The cadre are working together on the ground, but there is deepening suspicion that the BJP High Command is somehow playing at some kind of double game here.
Suspicion is not a very good thing in alliance politics. We'll have to see how this plays out. The kind of statements that come out of either side would be closely watched in the run-up to that election. But remember, EPS needs to also assert himself as the categorical leader of his own party as well. But thanks very much to Sumant Raman and Sam Daniel for joining us. Vasudha, now to the big question over Karnataka's aerospace ecosystem. The state's industries minister M.B. Patil made a strong repartee to Andhra's IT minister Nara Lokesh, who posted on social media offering land for aerospace companies after farmers' protests in Karnataka forced the state to drop a land acquisition bid for aerospace industries near the Bengaluru International Airport. Vasudha, there seems to be stiff competition for Karnataka from Andhra.
Absolutely, Veera. And G. Parameshwara, the Home Minister, has clarified that this is only about heeding to the interest of farmers, that no investors are going to be sent back. But this is about the Karnataka government balancing not just development, but also farmers' interests. And that, Veera, is a very tricky topic, because when this incident happened, I was just reminded of how the Prime Minister now, Narendra Modi, as the Chief Minister, invited the Tatas when the Singur movement was on. And that really turned out to be a different story of investment friendliness when Gujarat is concerned. So clearly, a very tricky situation here, but clearly both Andhra and Karnataka trying to do their best here.
Competitive politics in the quest for industry. So is Karnataka facing a threat to its aerospace dominance? Well, joining me this evening, Minister for Heavy Industries in Karnataka, Mr. M.B. Patil. Sir, thanks very much for taking time out and joining us here. You seem to be in a categorical catch-22 situation. On the one hand, our farmers' protests. On the other, Andhra threatening to take away aerospace investments. What's your message to Nara Lokesh and Andhra, which seems more than eager to woo industries from Karnataka and has the power of NDA behind it?
You might have seen my tweet. I already said, just because of one incident of a land acquisition parcel, doesn't mean the end of the road. Okay, this in Karnataka, we have an ecosystem, particularly if you take aerospace and defense, the country's 65% of the contribution comes from Karnataka. And globally, we are recognized by Financial Times that globally we're the number 3 largest ecosystem. So that being a case, so this land of 1777 acres, maybe we may have to take a decision because of the farmers. This one, they had also a valid reason because the land acquisition has been twice in the same area, the Chandrapatna block. So we do have much more parcels around, and we have much better parcels also with me. So just because of want of land, if someone thinks that they will shift to some other state, that's not going to happen. I'm going to give now for any industry, genuine industry, which whoever wants a land, and wherever they want a land, closer to the airport, everything, we are capable to giving that. We have parcels with us. We will give them land. Not even a single industry, because of want of land, will go outside my state, number one. Number two, if it's not the land alone, it's the ecosystem which is very, very important. So if you take IT industry, the past, right now, most of the states have also been geared to IT industries. In aerospace and defense, you name anything. You name Airbus, Boeing, Safra, Collins, Lockheed Martin. All of them are here. And today morning, I had a meeting with the Rolls-Royce today. After this incident, morning 11:15, I had a meeting with Rolls-Royce. So I wish Mr. Nara all the best, but can't expect anything from whatever he has thought will happen, because he may try to fish in the troubled waters. The waters in Karnataka is very, very calm. So worry about that.
All the best, Nara. So you're sending a message of confidence from here in Karnataka.
Meeting today morning at 11:50 with Rolls-Royce. Right. They're expanding.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Similar, see, those who want to land. See, if you take in the 1777 acres, they were about 500-600 acres. Farmers are ready to, on their own, they're ready to give. Maybe we have to sacrifice around 1,000 acres. But doesn't mean that's the only parcel we have.
Okay.
We have many parcels around. What Mr. Nara is claiming around 8,500. I have around 25,000 acres of parcel with me. 3 times bigger parcels than him. And my lands are very expensive. But they still come to my land. My land may cost around 3 crores, 4 crores, like that.
Okay.
And the land there, I don't want to comment on that state, but land here is a few thousands there.
So I just want to ask you a very quick. I want to ask you a very quick question.
Just let me complete. And just because you are saying, your own claim says that closer to Bangalore airport. What does it mean? Because.
But Mr. Patil, so the primary concern here is balancing industrial development and also farmers' interest, and both are very important for the growth of any state. What is your larger message to the industry and also to farmers?
See, for farmers, I believe in a fair compensation. So sometimes we have to go above the fair compensation also. 2013 Land Acquisition Act, where it was the UPA government flagship which came there. We have to give 4 times the guidance values. 4 times the guidance values. Somewhere we won't give more than that guidance value by ex gratia. Also, we have a concept of developed land. And then around Bangalore, the farmers are not interested in compensation. They're more interested in land. So if we have a developed land is in an acre, it comes around 22,000 to 23,000 square feet, out of which we give 10,781 square feet. And sometimes even more. So we know the interests of the farmers, and whenever we acquire, we think about the lands which are irrigated, the lands which would have farms over there and all this, unless it comes into the mid of the parcel. Other than that, if it is the boundary, we do not acquire them. farmers, I'm telling you what, we have been very, very fair. Never we have a complaint. Of course, they need they claim for higher compensation, but never we give lesser compensation to any farmers. Number one. And our chief minister is pro-farmer.
Okay.
Yesterday issue also, I had a different opinion. He had a different opinion. But thing is, he's pro-farmer and he takes care of the interests of the farmers by various schemes. I have been an irrigation minister myself.
Okay.
Irrigating from 13 to 18. We know the plight of the farmers' needs, and that's balanced in my state. And as far as the industries is concerned, Karnataka has been a leader always. You take foreign direct investment, they're number one. IT, we have 40% of the share. If you take ESTM, we are number one. If you take aerospace and defense, I already said we are 65% of the nation's contribution.
Right.
So we are doing much more reforms in my industries department after more. So there's no need. We balance both agriculture and industry, and my state is. We are not competing with any other state.
Okay.
We are competing globally, you know.
Well, a message of confidence there, Vasudha, from Mr. M.B. Patil, a seasoned politician and Karnataka's industries minister. But for a quick Karnataka Andra face-off this evening, Deepak Reddy Gunapati of the TDP and Lavanya Balal Jain of the Congress join us here. Deepak, you heard Karnataka's industries minister saying we are not in competition with anybody. We are far ahead. This is just the Andhra politicians trying to fish in troubled waters.
If you look at the words, the statements of the minister and his body language, it's pretty much given out that he's trying to, defend his state. But I need to put certain facts forward. Andhra Pradesh is the most business-friendly state in India. And the mantra is speed of doing business. In the last 11 months alone, we have attracted 9,34,000 crores investment. And we have come out with 22 new policies. One of the policies is the aerospace policy. And we have one nodal officer for every company which comes in, so that their business activities is a lot more easier. Apart from this, we have come out with n number of clusters. The Lepakshi cluster for aerospace industry with 10,000 acres. And for missile and ammunition, another 6,000 acres near Donakonda. For drones, robotic and defense components, another 4,000 acre, another cluster. In Visakhapatnam, naval systems and weapon testing. And a space city
Reddy,
near
I'll just come back to you. Lavanya Balal Jain, how are you going to deal with this perception that a lot of industry players are leaving Karnataka because the atmosphere is not congenial? BJP held a press conference today in Karnataka, talked about Toyota and other projects. How are you going to deal with this reality or even perception, if you say so?
Good evening, Pratibha and Veera. First of all, I have to say it is heartwarming to see our politicians in India. It may be from two different states and two different parties competing in such a healthy manner on development-centric topics rather than, emotive subjects. That's very heartwarming. But having said that, I think we have heard M.B. Patil say why Karnataka is still very attractive for investors. There may be a perception, BJP might be speaking about the perception that Karnataka is not very congenial for investments. That is not true. If you look at this land which was notified, it was notified by the Bommai-led government in 2022, and the farmers have been fighting for the last 3 years. See, you have to notice here the difference between this farmer agitation and a lot of others when the acquisition happens is here the farmers didn't want higher compensation. They wanted their land. They wanted their farmlands back. But there are equal number of farmers, total to about 449 acres worth of farmland, which they are willing to give to the government for acquisition. That was the original land that was required at this place for building the ecosystem, aerospace ecosystem. It's okay. I mean, BJP can run down developmental projects, but the fact of the matter is, like M.B. Patil sir said, we are competing with global players and not with other states in India. We also rank number 1 in India and globally number 3. But at the end of the day, I think this is very healthy competition and we are very sure the investments will stay in Karnataka.
Healthy competition and the interest of a healthy debate. Deepak, just finish the point that you were making, but very briefly.
Yep. I'll come straight to the point and debunk the facts what they have put forward. If you see the farmers, it's a very expensive land which they were trying to grab. That's why they have backtracked. That's good. But what's important? Most of the companies have come to us requesting that they would be they want to be part of the ecosystem in Andhra Pradesh. What they were complaining is the land prices in Karnataka are 3 crores and above, whereas we are giving them at less than 10% of that value in Andhra Pradesh. And language also is an issue in Karnataka. And they have some local employment rules which are actually troubling industry there. And corruption issues, and of course, we know the traffic issues in Bangalore. All put together, they are looking for alternative, better environment. And Andhra Pradesh is today providing the best environment for companies, the most business-friendly environment. And the way we have come out with these new policies is actually going to help these companies in their business. So there is no comparison. So one is they're just trying to cover up that they're losing investment. But on the other side, you can see one of the most dynamic chief ministers and our leader Lokesh ji, who's absolutely business
10
friendly.
seconds.
And
Lavanya Ballard, 10
the
seconds. TDP on the charge. 10 seconds to respond back to Deepak, and I'm closing this debate.
Yeah, I would just like to remind everybody, I think we have to listen to the statement of Samyukta Kisan Morcha Andhra Pradesh President Vadda, I think I'm getting his name correct, Shopa Dhireshwara Rao. His statement, he has said, we refuse to give the land for this project in Andhra Pradesh if this project comes to Andhra Pradesh.
All right. Okay.
I
you
belong
got
from
that quote
district,
right from that bit, but I'll have to leave this conversation here, Deepak.
There is no
I'm sorry, I have to leave
there.
this conversation here. Both of you have had ample time, and let's see where aerospace travels between states in India. It's not just aerospace, Vasudha. Karnataka and Andhra seem to be having friction with, Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu and Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy met in New Delhi. You were there tracking those meetings, which is what held you up from coming in for the show.
Absolutely. I was covering Southern View from the capital of India, New Delhi. Veera, it's very important because earlier it was suspected that Mr. Revanth Reddy will not turn up for this meeting because Banaka Chedla is a very, it's a very sensitive project. It's very important for the larger Polavaram project that Mr. Chandrababu Naidu has envisaged, and it's very important for the Rayalaseema region, which is of course Chittoor, Anantapur, Guntur, Kurnool and a couple of other districts to get the kind of water it deserves to flourish. And Mr. Chandrababu Naidu was here. In fact, Revanth Reddy was also here, and he came at the insistence of C.R. Patil, the Jal Shakti Minister. The centre today not just played the role of a mediator, but also ensured that both sides, who would have otherwise had a lot of problems, they sat across each other at the table. A committee has been, in fact, a committee will be formed, and that will look at both, sides. And there is going to be a formula that will be formulated soon, so that Andhra gets the water that it needs, and also Telangana does not get left out, because Revanth Reddy has also asked for a couple of things, including repairs and existing treaties and agreements to not be violated.
Absolutely. This project's an over 80,000 crore project. Andhra plans to divert Godavari floodwaters to the Prakasam barrage on the Krishna River at Vijayawada, and then pump it on to the Bolapalli reservoir, and from there to Banka Cherla reservoir, benefiting Kadapa, the arid Kadapa areas, and Kurnool in the Rayalaseema region. My colleague Tanushka has this report.
Amid rising water woes between both the Telugu states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, the chief ministers of both states, Revanth Reddy and Chandrababu Naidu, met today with Union Minister for Water C.R. Patil right here at the Shram Shakti Bhavan in Delhi. Now, this is with respect to the Godavari Banaka-Cherla river linking project. There are water sharing issues between both of these states, regarding which a centre convened for a meeting to go about a certain dialogue. And what has come out of this meeting that is just concluded is that a water board will be formed. A committee will be formed by Monday, which will comprise of officials from both Andhra Pradesh government, Telangana government, as well as representatives from the centre, to come about a conclusive solution as to this water sharing issue. Now, what we also understand is that chief ministers of both states have agreed to form a Krishna river Management Board in Vijayawada and a Godavari River Management Board in Hyderabad. What we also understand is that this committee, which is to be formed by Monday, will comprise of technical and administrative officials from both the states as well, and that this decision was taken, as you know, seen as a positive outcome of a meeting between two of these states and the chief ministers of these states. Key decisions were also taken regarding the Sri Shailam project. Installation of telemeters will be done as well, and the establishment of both of the river management boards. Now, this is definitely seen as a positive development for both the Andhra Pradesh and the Telangana government, which has been at loggerheads with each other with respect to this water sharing issue. With camera person Manoj Thakur, this is Tanushka Datta for NDTV.
Thank you, Tanushka, for joining us with those details. Veera, clearly resolution seems to be far away, but there seems to be a lot of work that's in progress here.
That's right. We'll take a very short break now on the Southern View. When we come back, Vasudha, India's big dog dilemma. We'll even get a newsmaker on the issue of dogs that bark and bite on the streets.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
गोल्ड क्लास ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
Fenesta Windows, beautiful and durable designs, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Fine Finer Fenesta.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, that India is in trouble.
So
Why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly, and therefore, it's a problem.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
Welcome back. Let's now talk about the rising problem of stray dog menace, cases of which have been reported from across the country. In fact, just recently, a little girl from Hubballi in Karnataka was dragged and was assaulted by 2 stray dogs, and she was later on rescued by onlookers. Similar incidents also happened in other districts of Karnataka. Kerala too is battling the same problem. We in Delhi have seen similar cases as well. What really leads to aggression in stray dogs, and also what is the government, what is the administration doing about this? Remember, the ABC, the animal birth control, is the sole responsibility of civic bodies. Why is that not being done? And most importantly, is there a solution to this? And while this has become a fight between dog lovers and people who are raising this issue, it really is much more than that, and we need to look for solutions here, specifically on fixing accountability and also, most importantly, protecting the elderly and children who have been victims in most cases here, Veera.
That's right, Vasudha, but remember, this instant debate has been triggered off by that Supreme Court observation on feed them at home, why feed them in the streets. There are multiple dimensions to this, and it's not just about feeding the dogs. There are hundreds of resident groups across India that are working to ensure stray dogs are vaccinated, and there are systems in place. A bench of Justices Vikram Nath and Sandeep Mehta told the petition in that case that they are hearing that we should leave every lane, every road open for these large-hearted people with a question mark. There is all space for these animals, no space for humans. Why don't you feed them in your own house? That was the question posed by the Apex Court. Joining us, Vasudha and I this evening, Congress MP from Shivaganga, Karthi Chidambaram, who has spearheaded this issue doggedly, if I may say so. Karthi, this is not a laughing issue at all. It is really one which has multiple dimensions in a country that's getting highly urbanized. What are the key concerns from a national policy point of view on this issue, and is it being taken seriously?
It is not a laughing matter. Serious issue. It's a real issue which is occurring every single day in every nook and corner of India, not just in urban India, but also in rural India. The number of stray dogs in our streets is increasing, disproportionately, and we have no policy. Neither do we have the resources or the wherewithal to deal with this. I mean, local bodies are supposed to deal with it, and local bodies in most cases do not have the funds and don't have the expertise to deal with it. And they are all straddled with an antiquated ABC policy, the animal birth control policy, which they can't implement. Because in order to implement the animal birth control policy, you must capture the female dogs, and then you must perform the surgery and keep them in a safe place for 5 days, then let them back on street. But that is a failed policy. There is no infrastructure to do that. And secondly, no developed country has got a street dog, street and stray cattle problem. We can't be aspiring to be a global power. We can't be aspiring to be one of the top economies in the world. We can't be aspiring to command respect in the world. And we can't be aspiring to have a great number of tourists come into our country when we have a stray dog problem. It's not just about India's image. It's a health and safety issue. I mean, the number of people who are getting bitten by stray dogs is a lot every single day. The numbers are staggering. And the number of rabies deaths, we have the highest number of rabies deaths in India. So what we really need to sort this out is not localized solutions, because the local bodies won't come up with any solutions. They are completely, short of funds. We need a national policy, an ethical policy, and humane policy by which we need to build, dog shelters, which has to be funded either through whichever branch of the government. And dogs must be removed from the streets and sent to these centers. They must be housed there. And then they must be neutered and sterilized there. And if people feel strongly for them, they should adopt them. Dogs are not meant to roam, are not meant to be in a free roaming state in the streets. In no developed country do we find this. So, well, we have to deal with this in a very humane manner. We must also deal with it in a systematic manner. And people who want to adopt them must be encouraged to adopt them. If there should be no dog which is roaming in the streets. There should be no dog which does not have a collar. There should be no dog which is not sterilized, and which is no dog which is not vaccinated. That has to happen. And if people feel very strongly about it, they should adopt them. And this business of keeping dogs in a free roaming state in the streets is completely unacceptable, and it's a health and safety hazard, and nobody takes responsibility for this. I've been voicing this as much as I possibly can.
Right, Karthi, so that's a very comprehensive solution that you've recommended. But what really triggered you to take up this issue? Was there a personal matter? Because I remember meeting you in the parliament. You, in fact, also met the Prime Minister and spoke about this.
And first of all, I like dogs very much. I myself have dogs at home, and they're very dear to me. But the point is, I find that there are ease of living urban issues which nobody highlights. So I like to pick on issues which does not necessarily constitute a vote bank. That is why I speak about gig workers. That is why I speak about online education. That is why I speak about gold loans. That is why I speak about KYC. That is why I speak about street dogs. Because I tend to pick on issues which affect common people, but who don't constitute a group and who become an effective vote bank. I'd like to speak for a large number of people who are not organized vote banks.
Karthi, on the one side is this, there are multiple dimensions to the problem that we are speaking in terms of dog menace. One is dealing with it in a humane manner, but often we find strong fights, arguments, may I say barking in gated communities, between neighbors, and in residential colonies over this. Have we really failed to take this seriously, as seriously it should be?
Not seriously at all, because the people who are affected are the people who walk to work, who walk from school, and not the people in cars, not people who live in gated communities with high security walls. It's the people on the streets, in villages, in towns, and in the gullies and in the narrow streets of our country. That's where they're affected the most. And the behavior of these dogs is also changing, because they are in packs now. They also behave very differently and much more aggressively. And every day we are hearing cases of people getting bitten. Even in my own constituency, one part of my constituency is part of Pudukkottai district. Even there you would see on a monthly basis a staggering amount. The Tamil Nadu government has put out the numbers. It's lakhs of people are getting bitten by dogs every day. And then people, there is a lack of rabies by vaccine, and some PHCs is leading to deaths. Expiry of rabies vaccines is leading to death. We are the largest importer of rabies vaccines in the world. We have the maximum number of rabies deaths. So we don't see, you can't football this. You see, what happens in Delhi is the Animal Husbandry Ministry does not take responsibility for this. The Health Ministry does not take responsibility for this, because nobody is responsible for this problem. And that is why I took it up to the Prime Minister. I urged the Prime Minister to form a national task force which will lay out the procedure to deal with this. And the way is, you must build shelters, remove the dogs, house them humanely, you neuter them or sterilize them, and encourage people to adopt them and keep them in their private homes with collars and with the proper papers and certificates. You can't have dogs in a free roaming state in the streets of India.
Thanks very much, Karthi Chidambaram from Shivaganga, for, may I say, doggedly making those points here on the Southern View.
No pun intended in the dog head, I guess.
No pun intended at all. That's Karthi Chidambaram there. Vasudha, it's actually a far more serious issue than one considers. Not one for, casual conversation, one that needs serious thinking.
Absolutely, Veera. Let's also listen into what Nupur Dogra League reported from the Supreme Court today on that very important observations that were made by the top court.
The Supreme Court yesterday, while hearing a petition by a woman who faced harassment over feeding stray dogs, has made some remarks, made some important observations. The Supreme Court asked, should the streets be left for these large-hearted people who want to feed dogs? Should all streets be left for them? Is there no place for humans? What about those? Supreme Court expressed concerns about those cycling and walking and facing and the rising stray dog attacks on humans. So this is a dilemma that the country is facing now. Existing laws, including previous Supreme Court judgments, say that under the current ABC rules, it is the authorities, local bodies like MCD, who are and in fact RWAs of society, who are responsible for taking care of dogs, making sure they're neutered, sterilized, and creating separate feeding areas for them so that there is no conflict, to avoid conflict between humans and dogs. We have some locals here who live in this colony which has number of stray dogs, and let's ask them that what they think about the Supreme Court's observation and what they think should be done. We see that you yourself are a pet owner. Tell us, what do you think about Supreme Court's observations?
See, being a dog lover, having a large heart for dogs is not the problem. Problem is failure of authorities, that they are not doing their job well. If they make separate feeding areas for dogs, sterilize them on time and vaccinate them. So I don't think it's a big problem, and we have to worry about the aggression from dogs.
Now let's ask someone else. You, Ritvik, you also stay in this colony. Tell us, what are your views on the street dogs, and what do you think should be done?
Sometimes I have this fear when I'm walking past through a dog that he will bite me or ye mujhe kaat lega. But at times I think it depends on person to person and people to people. I have this fear in me that ye mujhe kaatega ya kuch aisa hoga. I think authorities should take a step ahead in this, and they should create awareness amongst the people that aisa karo, aisa mat karo, that you should feed them properly, how you should treat them.
Well, thank you, Nupur, for joining us with those insights. There's also very strong observations made by the top court here, Veera, but comprehensive solutions have been described, have been recommended even in the past, but it really, probably will take for a lot of collaboration between civic bodies, state governments to get this through. To talk about this, we have Priya Chetty Rajagopal, who's the co-founder of Citizens for Bengaluru. We have Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, who's the chairman of Nephron Clinics, and we also have Harja Sethi, who is a social media influencer. Thank you all of you for joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Sethi, as a digital influencer, as a social media influencer, how do you see this issue being reduced to a fight between just dog lovers and people who want, some systemic procedures so that stray dogs don't really harm human beings? I see a lot of videos on Insta, of dog feeders, of these fights. How do you see this phenomenon growing in the last few years, and what do you think, where do you think the solution lies?
Hi, thank you. So as someone who's been working in the animal welfare community for almost a decade now, I think it's the need of the hour now that we come together as a community. This is not the time to do us versus them. It's not the time to do dog lovers versus dog haters, or, people who don't have special consideration for dogs. I understand not everybody is a dog lover. However, there's a need for compassion. And of course, we are fundamentally bound, as per our constitution. Everybody has a right to live. So I think the solution is not to throw the dogs out or to harass the feeders. In fact, I think dog feeders, the animal welfare community, the MCG, the authorities, the RWAs, everybody needs to work together and find a solution. We need to follow the ABC rules and AWBI guidelines.
Right.
So we need to have dedicated feeding spots. We need to have their sterilizations going on so that in the next 7, 8, 10, 15 years, the dog population reduces. Because I understand that fear. That fear can be a valid fear for a lot of us. However, that fear should not let us do something illegal or violate the rights of another being that we coexist with. Yes, I think someone
absolutely. You're making an important point. But the fact is, Priya Chetty Rajagopal, you've been working for years on this issue. There is another element to this in terms of human safety. And when it's come to a situation where human safety has become a matter of very serious concern, when children can get mauled, and then, there are those who use this one of saying that, look, I'm a dog lover, I have to do this way. There has to be some balance here, right, Priya?
Yes, I believe so. I think one of the things that we've been branded with, when we are concerned about the area of animal welfare, and we demonstrate that through, programs or campaigns or activity, is that there's an either or solution, which is very simplistic, which is you either like dogs or you like humans. And I think that is where some of the biggest problems lie. As you know, the law is the law. We have, however much it might be reviled, brought down, we have a law which says no culling, no relocation. So it's like today saying, when the red light comes up, you stop your car. So you follow the law. So let's assume this is a law that we have to work within. And we have, at the same time, a very high population of street or stray dogs in the country. Bangalore alone has about 3 lakh dogs. But there's also a lot of good stuff which is happening. So if you look at the broad structure that this is a situation, this is the law, people like us or people who are trying to form communities are actually engaging and addressing the human demographic even more than we are addressing the dog population. So if you look at the demographic of feeders, the assumption is I'm feeding my soul by feeding a dog. I don't think that is it. What we need to understand is when there are feeders, there are 3 things that happen. The first is ferocity comes down. Access to the dog is increased, and therefore they can be neutered and vaccinated. And continued feeding also makes sure that the dog is quiet and safe. And you can please go to many of the areas that we have responsible feeders and responsible feeding. You will find the dogs are very placid, they're quite well behaved, they're sitting in their own space, minding their own business. And the neuter vaccination is very high. Recently, in one of our squads, which is the Ulster squad, we vaccinated 304 dogs within a week. So that's because the feeders have a good relationship, they can get it done. And why do we vaccinate? We're vaccinating to keep the human population safe. So the focus and the viewpoint has to change. There is
take a question to Dr. Bagai. Dr. Bagai, as somebody who's also worked in the dog space, how do you look at Dr. Priya's suggestions? I completely agree with her. We need a community approach to this problem. But when I also see the deaths there, of little children being attacked or elderly people being attacked, there's a lot of, we all become very furious. There's a lot of anger also as to why this issue is not being resolved. How much time do you think that this community approach will get sort of internalized, and do you think that this will work in a country like India?
Good evening. I think we need to address statistics first. We have approximately 6.2 crores, which is about 62 million stray dogs in India. The incidence of dog bites is about 17.5 per million. We've had 23 lakh animal bites last year, which amounts to 6,000 bites per day, which is almost 6 dog bites per minute. We have a 99% case fatality with rabies and almost 70 to 80% complications with tetanus. 35% of worldwide rabies is in India. We are losing 25,000 patients or citizens every year, out of which a vast majority are children under the age group of 5. They get mauled, they get mutilated. There is a risk of bacterial infections, of course, viral infections, tetanus, rabies itself, which has no cure. And elderlies, they fall, they have fractured neck femur or a head and neck or a head injury. These are complications which we are seeing every day. I request everyone to understand the pain and the suffering of the patient and the difficulty of the medical team. I personally have worked in rabies wards. It's the most frustrating and emotionally challenging phase of our medical training. We lose human lives. Stray dogs cannot be living in the same habitat as human beings. For all the dog lovers who are in fantasy land, who want to feed the dogs, take them in your own house. If you feed them outside your house and put them again on the road, they're going to bite other people. Each dog produces at an average of about 18 to 20 puppies a year. The population is only multiplying and more people are going to have injuries and infections and death.
Okay, you're making a very, very strong point there, Vasudha. There's a multiple dimensions to this debate. Of course, Priya has been working on it extensively in Bengaluru. I guess the need is for a large, overwhelmed, complete national policy as far as stray dogs is concerned. One that's humane to both human beings and to stray dogs.
Is that a question?
Was that to me?
Absolutely, Veera, and I think we need not just a humanitarian approach to this, but also a scientific approach to this. Yeah, I think I was saying that,
Right.
not only do we need a humanitarian approach to this, but also a scientific approach to this and more of accountability so that
Right.
we work in a community-centric way, like Priya said. And also, like Dr. Bagai said, we don't forget
Right.
the statistics and numbers because nothing can happen at the cost of human lives. So that, Veera, it's a wrap on
That's
the
all.
show, and we will see our viewers tomorrow, same time.
Where are these headlines? EPS big political statement says no coalition government, only AIADMK government in Tamil Nadu. Pune Posh case explodes, shocking excuses of the juvenile in the court. Drunk, fatal speeding, not heinous enough for the Juvenile Justice Board. MP Congress MLA's son runs over police. No arrest so far. Attempt to murder case, but the VIP son roams free. Rahul Gandhi takes on Himanta Biswa Sarma during his visit to Assam. Rahul Gandhi says Himanta will be jailed one day.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. पार हो या नियर, सब कुछ दिखे clear.
Fenesta Windows. Beautiful and durable designs. Installation से maintenance की lifelong customer service. आपके घर में Fenesta नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए.
Fine, finer, Fenesta.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system. It is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
Why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly. And therefore, it's a problem.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है। जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है। बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट, पर हम उन मुद्दों में आपके साथ जिनसे आपकी फाइट है। डिजिटल से देश समझा, अब टीवी पर समाधान लाना है। आइए मेरे साथ खबरों की कचहरी में सिर्फ एनडीटीवी पर।
Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Wednesday night. You must have noticed, my friends, that over the last 2 weeks, NDTV has been putting the spotlight on stories that truly matter to India. Not just to you and me, but to the country at large. And we have struck a chord on one thing that truly unites us all: our derision for those who use their wealth and influence to escape any action from the law. Tonight, we are forced to confront a question we should never have to ask. What does it actually take for our legal system to call something heinous? A Porsche supercar, a teenager, a nightclub, 2 young lives lost, and now a verdict yesterday that feels like a punch to the gut. I know it feels like that to me. Pune's Juvenile Justice Board ruled that the VIP teenager responsible for the deaths of Anish and Ashwini, 2 young software professionals, will not be tried as an adult. He will be tried as a child in conflict with the law. I'm not even making that up. That's the actual term, CCL, child in conflict with the law. A child who was gifted a Porsche supercar by his shameless grandfather, the patriarch of a powerful builder family. A child who was chugging alcohol. A child who drove at 180 kilometers per hour and killed 2 people. A child who was part of a cover-up to switch his blood sample. A child who let his shameless, cowardly rich parents do everything they could to bribe their way to safety. But apparently none of that qualifies as heinous to Pune's Juvenile Justice Board. Let's not forget, this same Juvenile Justice Board, just hours after the incident in May last year, gave this very same teenager bail on the condition that he write a 300-word essay on road safety. A deadly drunk driving crash